Number 15. Hollywood High School, California. Aside from having a beautiful mural facade and notable alumni, Hollywood High School is also known to have paranormal enthusiasts. 3 ghosts are reported to live within the walls, all with dark histories. One haunts the auditorium, whom sources have named Toby. According to legend, he was a heartbroken young man who once attended the school. After unsuccessfully trying to win his ex back, he took his own life in the auditorium, where his ex-girlfriend found him the next morning when she came to work on the upcoming play. People have reported seeing a young man wandering around the halls as if he is searching for something, with many believing it is his lost love. The second ghost is of a former custodian who continues to peacefully make his rounds cleaning the school, a job he appeared to love even in his afterlife. The third ghost is of a woman rumored to have hung herself somewhere on the campus. Students and teachers have heard disembodied footsteps, doors opening and closing, and feeling cold spots throughout the school. Several apparitions have been spotted, mostly in and around the auditorium. For the students of Hollywood High, they have a lot more to worry about than exams and social status. Number 14. El Paso High School, Texas. According to some, El Paso High School is the most haunted school in the United States. Opened in 1916, the school has had paranormal events even during its construction. Many students have said they've seen a woman jumping from one of the balconies, but upon rushing to the ground below, there's nothing there. People have also seen a thick mist covering the abandoned hallways, as well as a strange goo dripping from the ceilings. The incidents began occurring after a student slit her wrists and then threw herself from the balcony. Due to the occurrences in the hallway, the place was blocked off with a wall, thus restricting access from everyone, except the spirits. Another famous spirit is that of a girl in a white dress. Not much is known about her identity, but she is believed to be the same girl seen in a photo watching the school's construction in 1916. During graduation photos, the class of 1985 took a group photo and had an unexpected guest appear with them. In the center of the photo, the girl in the white dress is seen, except she is notably more blurry than anyone else in the photo. A teacher also found a walled-off, abandoned, and forgotten classroom in the basement of the school. Why this classroom was blocked off is unknown, but it adds to the mysterious atmosphere of the school. There are more stories to tell about El Paso High, but we recommend our viewers to dive in and read them for themselves. Number 13. Metz Elementary School, Texas. In operation since 1915, Metz Elementary in Austin, Texas has had some strange occurrences happen starting around 1990. No known lives being lost have occurred on the property, but when it came time to rebuild most of the school, things began to get crazy. Workers of the excavation company hired to demolish the old building would have their tools stop working. Hear the sounds of children laughing in the bathrooms, and the sounds of sharp nails scratching the chalkboards despite them being desolate upon investigation. As a result, most of the workers refused to enter the building alone, and many either quit or would frequently call in sick to prevent having to deal with the torment there. In desperation, the crew's boss, Joe Torres, asked a Catholic priest to perform an exorcism, but that didn't help. A few days later, a wall mysteriously fell and took a worker's life. By the time the school was demolished, they were half a year behind schedule due to the incident and the number of workers who had quit. Since the new school was completed, paranormal activity continues. People have reported seeing ghost children around the school, and Torres may have brought some residual activity home with him. He took one of the trees on the property and planted it in his daughter's yard. Now people report hearing children whispering and laughing around the tree. Whatever now haunts Metz Elementary, they were unhappy with the school's rebuilding and wished to show that anger to the new students and staff. Number 12. Willowbrook State School, New York. A place with good intentions in mind, it soon became a hell on earth. Willowbrook State School on Staten Island, New York, was established as an institute for mentally handicapped children. Unfortunately, it was opened in 1947, in a time when mental disability was not as understood as today. Thus, it acted as a dumping ground for these children by people who could not handle them, and looked after by people who had no idea how to care for them properly. Two of its early doctors, Sal Krugman and Robert McCollum, began conducting sick experiments on the patients, sometimes with methods too disturbing to reveal here. While only built to house 4,000 residents, the population soared to 6,000 by the 1960s, making the place dangerously overcrowded. Senator Robert Kennedy was given a tour of the school and was horrified by its condition. There has been hundreds of recorded passings due to neglect. It is also the former workplace of Andre Rand, who was convicted of abducting and then taking the life of a 12-year-old girl. Passers-by and those brave enough to venture inside have reported seeing apparitions and strange lights in the halls and in the windows. The building is also rumored to be a ritual ground for Satanists, although this has not been confirmed. It is sad to know how much ignorance ruined the lives of so many children, those who were abandoned out of selfishness, rather than being given the empathy and care they really needed. Number 11. Bristol Tennessee High School. While 2 out of 3 of the resident spirits of Tennessee High School are what we'd expect, the third is surprisingly dark for any location. Located in Bristol, Tennessee, directly across the border from Virginia, Tennessee High School was built in 1939. An incident struck the school in the 1970s during the class night where the juniors officially became seniors. A girl known as Agnes was hit by a train as her car was crossing the track, taking her life. For years after, people could hear her footsteps in the vocational hall and have seen a girl in a white dress wandering the corridors. Now the floors are carpeted, therefore canceling out the sound of steps, but she is still seen and her presence is still felt. She has also been reported appearing in the television broadcast booths of the auditorium. The gym hosts a massive phantom in the form of a train. People have claimed the train would suddenly blast through the gym, blaring its loud whistle as it passes through. It is speculated that this is a manifestation of the same train which hit Agnes all those years ago, forever embedded in the memory of the surrounding area. The third ghost is that of a former school athlete who passed in a traffic incident. Students and staff have reported his spirit wandering the halls and attending sports events, from pep rallies and games. Clearly, in his afterlife, he still returns to watch and cheer on the team he loves so much, while one spirit seems to only return on certain occasions. We all hope Agnes can eventually find her way to peace in the afterlife, possibly causing the train to leave as well. Number 10. Malaysia's Haunted Schools. Malaysia is famous for its ghost stories, so rich with them not even its schools are safe. Penang Free School is the oldest school in all of Southeast Asia. Opening in 1816, established by Spark Hutching, he founded it as a place where poor and/or orphan children could be provided with free education, free food and clothing, regardless of ethnicity or religion. Despite the benevolent nature of the school's founding, Penang had become hijacked by evil during its run. Much of the hauntings are the same you'd find in other haunted places, with flickering lights and the sounds of wrestling following people at night. Then there are residual sounds of the victims of Japanese occupation during the Second World War. In the late hours of the night, people have heard the echoes of women screaming, which can be heard around the entire campus. These are believed to be the sounds of those kept and brutally mistreated by Japanese soldiers who occupied the country between 1941 and 1945. With 200 years of operation and counting, there is bound to be further additions to the school's history, and possibly some additions to the school's haunting. Chungling High School has had major shifts in use during its time. The British Army took control of the school and converted it into a military hospital until the Japanese took over the area. It was then the location was used as a detention center where prisoners were held and many had their lives taken. On several occasions, reports of mass hysteria have been reported, with students becoming frantic either from fear or possibly spiritual possession. Dogs in the area have been observed barking wildly at unseen things, certainly terrifying knowing how even at school, the children of Malaysia have a chance of encountering the paranormal. Number 9. Mackay Avenue School, Alberta. If you're looking for the spookiest haunts in Canada, Edmonton is a good start. Mackay Avenue School is the oldest brick building in Alberta and operated as a school from 1905 until 1983. It now acts as the Edmonton Public Schools Archives and Museum, with the original 1880s wood school still on the property. According to those who work there, Mackay is home to a spirit named Peter, a custodian who worked while the building operated, as the school kept a log of unexplained happenings, from doors opening and closing on their own, desks becoming scattered, water taps turning on at random, and books and papers in the locked archive room being found scattered all over the room. In an attempt to get to the bottom of the phenomena, the unnamed custodian conducted a Ouija board session and discovered the spirit of a passed-away construction worker who suffered a life-taking fall from the school's fire escape in 1912. However, any records of such circumstances have not been found, but this has not stopped the bizarre events from occurring. Employees still find items sprawled across the archive room, and paranormal investigators heard hammer sounds echoing throughout the building, despite no construction work being conducted at the time whatsoever. It appears the archive and museum has more history within its walls than they could imagine, and it is unknown if their origins will ever be truly discovered. Number 8. Heidelberg University, Germany. While today having a high reputation as a prestigious German university, this place has codes of dark history painted on some of its walls. Heidelberg University is Germany's oldest university, having opened its doors way back in 1386, ranked among the top post-secondary institutions in Europe. Sadly, Heidelberg was not spared the stained hands of the Nazis. Many professors and students between 1934 and 1945 were shipped off to various concentration camps the evil empire established. Now, faculty members and students have reported finding chalkboards either frantically erased of its contents or nonsensical writing sprawled across its surface having appeared overnight. While some may dismiss this as pranksters breaking in during the night, the classrooms of the university are locked during the off-time hours, making entry virtually impossible. The Nazis also used the medical wing in order to perform sterilization on women, a process known as eugenics. Women were forced to be sterilized in order to prevent them from reproducing children the Nazi regime considered genetically inferior. While Germany has long since escaped from the Nazi oppression, residual reminders of the horrors have remained there. People have reported hearing loud screams of a woman echoing through the hallways, but when security goes to investigate, they find nothing. On a minor note, students have reported the scent of something burning in the courtyard, despite no fires. Interestingly, the courtyard was used as a book-burning site, one of the many the Nazis used in an attempt to destroy the works of those they fought against. It's sad to see such a historically significant and distinguished educational facility continue to house the suffering an extremist regime inflicted on its country. Number 7. Lambertville High School, New Jersey. Long since abandoned, Lambertville High School in New Hope, New Jersey served the local youth until 1955 when it was permanently closed down. The tragedy that befell the school happened in November 1935 during the traditional high school Turkey Bowl football game. The game was tied 21-21 when the New Hope player known as Buckeye ran to the end zone with the ball when he collided head-on with an opposing team member. He did not get back up again, and the coaches and referees rushed the field only to find that Buckeye had broken his neck with his head almost completely turned around. Years after the school closed, an urban legend began about a group of teens who were drinking on the steps of the school and once told the story of Buckeye. As a joke, one of the teens shouted a challenge to Buckeye for a race. After some laughter, a cold breeze ran through the group and all saw a pair of red eyes on the other side of the field. They then heard a voice and said, "Run across the football field from end to end or die." One teen turned and ran away, but fell to the concrete, blue to the face. Frightened, the rest lined up on the football field and ran to the other side, only to see another one of the group was missing. The kids ran home and locked the door behind them. In truth, the name of the student was Jimmy Cavallo, not Buckeye. It became a Halloween tradition for teens to venture into the remains of the school, and many would come running out in fear after hearing strange noises and seeing apparitions. Then in 2012, the remains of the school collapsed, a result of poor construction and quick decay. While the school is now gone, it is unknown if the spirits remain. Number 6. Bitburg Middle School, Germany. Located on the spot of a former Air Force base, Bitburg Middle School has had all the classic signs of a haunting. According to rumors, the base was built on a former Nazi regional headquarters. People were brought there for questioning, and is likely where they were sent off to camps. The middle school was built as the school for the base housing, and since it opened in 1956, strange things have been happening. People have experienced lights flickering on and off during the night. A window was seen opening and closing on its own, and most terrifying is disembodied screams have been heard echoing out of the school. The victims of the past continue to experience their last moments of hope and happiness dwindle away from within. Despite now being a place for education, this hasn't settled the spirits, and it is unknown how anyone can bring them to rest. Number 5. Kangaroo Inn, Australia. Despite its name, the Kangaroo Inn is actually a school in Penola, South Australia. Its name comes from the ruins of a nearby inn and pub built during the gold rush of the 19th century. According to stories, the Chinese couple who ran the inn were buried somewhere on the school's property. A student named Deb told a story about her time as a student at Kangaroo Inn in 1993. She was on cooking duty one night when she and other students witnessed a dog jump through the wall and run around, barking loudly before running off. One of the teachers came to investigate the barking. When told about what the students saw, he simply stated he knew the place was haunted, but not by a dog. They all then heard the barking again and found the dog only halfway through a wall before it disappeared. Others have reported seeing green orbs flying around the property, an occurrence which continues to this day. However, there has been no explanation presented for the mysterious dog. Deb stated her teachers also reported being shaken on their shoulder, and Deb herself experienced cold spots with other students when sleepovers and night events happened at the school. Despite this, Deb admits, albeit being genuinely freaked out, she believes the ghosts meant no harm and were simply just wandering around, not meaning to scare anyone. Number 4. University of Toronto, Ontario. Over its nearly 200 years of operation, the school is more than a place of education. Several of the buildings are said to be haunted by spirits of a variety of moral alignments. A ghost in the Christie mansion of Regis College has a tendency to trap women behind a large steel door, forcing them to pound against the metal until someone hears them and lets them out. According to legend, a man kept a woman confined to this room until she eventually went mad and took her own life to escape her imprisonment. The resident ghost of Massey College is believed to be that of Robertson Davies, the former master of the college. He would entertain guests at the annual Christmas parties by sharing ghost stories he had written himself. He also joked that upon his own passing, he would stay to haunt the building. According to staff and students, he probably got his wish, as since his passing, people have heard strange whispers, seen shadow figures rushing around and hearing loud crashes. It appears Mr. Davis has settled into his role as a haunt, living up to the spooky stories he used to tell. A more benevolent spirit seemingly saved the life of theater manager Paul Templin in the Hart House Theater. Having worked late, Templin decided to simply sleep in his office and asked the security not to disturb him during the night. While he was in deep sleep, he was startled awake by his door swinging open and hitting his cot. Behind the door's glass pane, he could see the figure of a dark shadow, but could not make out who was there. His attention was quickly switched to that of the smell of smoke rapidly entering his office. Templin managed to escape unharmed from an electrical fire and went to the security team to thank them for waking him. There was just one problem, since none of the security guards had managed to reach his office. To this day, Templin has been thankful to the spectral that saved him from a horrific passing. U of T has several more interesting stories too many to tell here, and all just as diverse as the 3 shared on this list. Number 3. Westmount Junior High School, Alberta. Teaching the children of Edmonton for over a century, Westmount Junior High School has gone through much of the city's ups and downs. Aside from the staff and students who educate and are educated in its walls, a lonely spirit wanders down the many corridors and classrooms. Felicia Graham of New Westminster, British Columbia, secured a job as a 9th grade teacher in Westmount in 1918. However, she soon found herself unhappy with her job and working conditions. She was being paid $100 less than she was back in BC and grew increasingly upset over how much more her male counterparts were making for the same work. She managed to get a new job at the nearby Strathcona School, but she never started working there. The Spanish flu epidemic had hit Edmonton, shutting down all the schools and transforming them into temporary hospitals to accommodate the frightening amount of patients. Teachers were also recruited to act as nurses in the schools, a position Graham undertook as well. After the epidemic ended, Graham mysteriously disappeared and was never seen or heard from again. The last time anyone saw her, she was wearing a fur coat walking across the high-level bridge. Theories have speculated that she jumped to her own demise out of sadness or possibly shame of an unwanted pregnancy. However, these claims are unproven. Another theory is she contracted the Spanish flu and succumbed, but her family disputes this claim as she actually recovered. Another frightening theory is she fell victim to the notorious James Watson, who took the lives of several women in Edmonton and California. People have said they hear disembodied footsteps in the halls, which can be heard walking into her old classroom. Graham's spirit is also reported to haunt her former apartment building and the riverbank near where she was last seen. Another anonymous ghost is also said to live at Westmount. People have dubbed him Harold, and he haunts the bell tower he allegedly jumped from. Number 2. Oxford University, UK. The moment you think of prestige and university combined, chances are 90% of people will think of Oxford. Since 1096, Oxford has worked its way up the ranks to become known as the most famous university in the world. With its long history, it has also become a home to a number of spirits. The most famous resident ghost is that of King Charles I, who roams the grounds of Christ Church College. Charles was overthrown and had his head removed in 1649 by Oliver Cromwell's parliamentarians during the English Civil War. Freakishly, People have reported sometimes seeing Charles walking around the campus without his head. Seeing a ghost is scary enough, but imagine seeing an apparition walking towards you without a head. Close friend of Charles I, William Lode, is said to haunt St. John's College ever since he too had his head removed in 1645. Even more creepy than Charles, William has been seen walking the campus at night and kicking his removed head across the lawn. A famous recollection from 1892 occurred at St. Mary's Hall. A student known as Mr. Colthurst was frightened by strange noises while he was alone in the building. Having heard the story and being curious, his friend Mr. Ackerley decided to investigate and waited on the staircase by himself. Not long after settling down, Ackerley heard a loud noise, which he described as sounding like a walking stick standing against a wall gradually slid down and come with a clatter upon the floor. He could hear the sound getting closer and closer, but saw nothing capable of producing such noise. The next night, Ackerley returned with Colthurst, this time armed with swords. Immediately, the two witnessed a flint stone fall to the ground without explanation. Later, footsteps descended the stairs towards them, sending the students retreating from the building. It has been speculated the spirit of St. Mary's Hall is that of William King, the former principal. With a long history, something is bound to stay, and for Oxford, it isn't just the mementos it has on its walls. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. Also, I recently created a subreddit where you can submit videos and stories for future lists. It's r/chillsnarrator, and the link is in the description below. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person, so if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. If English isn't the only language you speak and you're interested in getting a shout out, click more, then add translations. By translating the video, not only will more people be able to watch it, but a link to your channel will be added in the description. Number 1. Pocatello High School, Idaho. A true phoenix from the ashes, Pocatello High School has seen its variety of second life. Originally built in the early 1900s, the first school burnt down in 1914 after water pressure issues prevented firefighters from properly battling the blaze. After being rebuilt in 1916, several major events happened to give the school its haunted reputation. In the 1950s, 2 girls reportedly made a pact to both take their lives, with one girl hanging herself in her locker the next day, while the other girl changed her mind. Students and faculty have reported the smell of perfume where her locker was located, despite nobody nearby at the time. Custodians have reported smelling the perfume not long after they've locked up the school, and they are the only ones left in the building. It is also believed the ghost of one of the real skeletons used in the science classrooms now haunts the building. After the real skeleton was replaced with a plastic one, staff would find pieces of the real skeleton in drawers and other random pieces around the classrooms. By far the most compelling stories are of the apparitions seen throughout the school at all hours of the day. Pocatello's hauntings gained national attention after security footage was released showing several apparitions walking down the halls after school hours, followed by the lights flickering on and off. A spirit also serenades the school with tunes on the piano in the evening, despite the auditorium being empty. For most of the part, the ghosts of Pocatello High mean no harm, which makes people much more curious to search for them. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy.